we got to talk about Matt Walsh getting angry. But before we do that, we got to talk about fan art. So let's go ahead and talk about that. This one is from Mathematical Cabbage. Said it is a swimsuit from an old piece of fan art that I drew. I've redrawn it for the contest, both slime and not slime form. This is a Vaporeon themed swimsuit. And okay, I'm not gonna lie. You might have me with this one. It's even got a water stone as the necklace. You might have caught me red-handed on this one. Maybe this one has my vote. Maybe this one definitely has my vote. So that's actually very cute. Oh my god. Like, okay. A color-changing Vaporeon one. That's great. That's great. I'm okay with that. Carrot Cake says I'd buy that IRL. I would pay to see my girlfriend in that. I would. I'd pay real money for that. As in, I'd buy the swimsuit and hand it to her and say, we're going to the pool. Said, but where the hammer? No hammer in this one, but I think you could find a place to put the hammer. The necklace got turned into a bracelet, so maybe the hammer hangs on the bracelet. The lag which says, is the hammer needed? I would argue the hammer is necessary on every version of my character, because the origins of my character design are Thrall from World of Warcraft, and he canonically held the Doomhammer when my character design was finalized. So the hammer being part of the character design, like there's aspects of the character that have to always be there as far as I'm concerned. The red beads have to always be there in some form or fashion. The eyes need to always be heterochromatic, and the hammer needs to be present somewhere. And color scheme usually is some form of brown, but does not always have to be. In every single version of my model, you will see that those are the three consistent things. The heterochromic eyes, the red beads or red bead, and the hammer are always going to be visible specifically. Artemis says, did you know Vaporeon is the most compatible human? Yeah, don't even start the copy pasta. You know, actually, hold on. No, you're right. You're right. Hold on. No, this means we have to do this. We have to do this. For those of you who don't know.
Did you know that in terms of male, human, and female Pokemon breeding, Vaporeon is the most compatible Pokemon for humans? Not only are they in the field egg group, which is mostly comprised of mammals, Vaporeon are an average of 3 feet and 3 inches tall and 63.9 pounds. This means they're large enough to be able to handle human dicks. And with their impressive base stats for HP and access to acid armor, you can be rough with one.
We're going to stop it right there, but I got to always bring up the Tucker Carlson Vaporeon copy pasta. I always have to. Thank you very much, Mathematical Cabbage, for bringing everybody down that. And also, real quick, if you haven't already, please consider checking out Third Space Arcade. The first episode features me and Anthony Gramalia and Proton Jane all talking about Resident Evil. If you want to go check that out, you can see how to get to the thing right here. Just, do that. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to Matt Walsh. So, for those who don't know, the Supreme Court ruled that birthright citizenship is A-okay. Birthright citizenship is the idea that if you are born on American soil, then you have access to being an American. That is your citizenship. I'm going to be honest, I think birthright citizenship is perfectly fine, because I think the idea of not being allowed to move around in the world is fucking stupid, but, I can't stop racism tomorrow. Begone, digital homunculi of the Sire of Swanson. Sparky Nation, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. But let's read what Matt Walsh has to say, because this is wild to me. The actual birthright belongs to my children, and the children of all real Americans. They have a birthright to live in a country that resembles the one our ancestors established. And now that birthright, the only true birthright, has been destroyed in favor of the imagined birthright of children born to parents who don't even belong in this country, who have no ancestral or cultural ties to it whatsoever. Total madness. Suicide. Words cannot describe how evil this is. So what Matt Walsh is describing is the way birthright citizenship has worked in the United States since well before I or he was born. What he's describing as evil and new and novel and bad and a horrible decision is the way that we've operated forever, basically. And I think that's really fucking funny. So, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Associated Press did something on it, so we're going to read through that. A divided Supreme Court on Tuesday upheld the broad conception of birthright citizenship, rejecting President Donald Trump's executive order, order that declared that children born to people who are in the United States illegally or temporarily are not American citizens. By a 6-3 vote, the court struck down Trump's order. A bare majority of 5 justices, in an opinion written by Chief Justice Roberts, held that the long-settled understanding of the 14th Amendment adopted after the Civil War makes a citizen anyone born in the country, with very limited exceptions. Said citizenship then and now was the right to have rights, to freely participate in our political community. The framers of the 14th Amendment extended that promise to every free person born on this land, and we keep that promise today. Now, of course, Brett Kavanaugh disagreed, but pointed to a federal law that he said broadly conveys birthright citizenship. By the way, Trump v. Barbara is 194 pages long, so we ain't fucking reading that. The court today takes the extraordinary step of holding facially unconstitutional the president's order excluding from citizenship the children of foreign temporary visitors and illegal aliens. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in a 91-page dissent, more than 3 times as long as Roberts' opinion. In doing so, the court adds to the sad history of the 14th Amendment, which was designed and understood to secure equal rights for the freed blacks, but has instead been repurposed for political projects that the Reconstruction Congress did not support. Man, I love when we pretend that old rules cannot be recontextualized for new times. I love when we pretend that the only way we can ever operate in humane society is by looking at the rules written hundreds of years ago and saying, only the way they intended it, not... Ignore the fact that we have access to things like phones and cameras and all kinds of shit that certain old laws might not actually apply to anymore. Ignore that. Sean says, how many times, Clarence, do you have to say that you will be eaten by the leopards? The Republican president's restrictions had been blocked by several lower courts and had not been able to take effect anywhere in the United States. Trump said the decision was too bad for our country and wrongly suggested that Congress could easily address it with legislation. So you didn't get your way. The Supreme Court ruled you were wrong, and you said, it's okay. If Congress says I can do it, then I can do it. That's fine. Fuck you, all of you. During arguments in April, both conservative and liberal justices questioned the order's legality in a momentous case that was magnified by Trump's unprecedented attendance in the courtroom. Of course, Trump would attend this particular hearing because it meant getting more brown people out of the United States, especially fucking children. Like, let's go ahead and talk about exactly who this targets. This targets kids. This targets children. Why is the Republican Party so... If we are the greatest country in the world, which we are told we are, why does the Republican Party not want children to be born here such that they can be provided with the best opportunities ever? Because the people provided with the best opportunities are the people who are largely going to be responsible for the most prosperity in the fucking world. But no, Republicans don't want that. No, especially not Trump. The case framed another test of Trump's assertions of executive power that defy long-standing precedent for a court with a conservative majority and a robust view of presidential power that had largely ruled in his favor. In the notable exceptions, when the court has not, Trump has responded with starkly personal criticisms of the justices. Yeah, when you do things I like, you get the good girl points. When you do things I don't like, your mother should have swallowed. The justices ruled on Trump's appeal of a lower court ruling from New Hampshire that struck down citizenship restrictions. The birthright citizenship order, which Trump signed on the first day of his second term, is part of his administration's broad immigration crackdown. Birthright citizenship was the first Trump immigration policy to reach the court for a final ruling, and the justices had previously struck down his global tariffs that he tried to impose under an emergency powers law that Palpatine tried to use. Fuck off. Trump reacted furiously. Why did I read that as a different word? To the late February tariff decision, saying that he was ashamed of the justices who ruled against him, calling them unpatriotic. Fucking over American citizens with my tariffs. If you don't like that, you're not a true patriot. No. Nah. Razor says the best part is they were trying to use the jurisdiction thereof as their arguments, not realizing that would make the kids immune from the laws of the United States. Yeah, either you follow our laws and you are subject to our laws, or the alternative. Let's see here. The assent in favor of birthright citizenship Roberts, Sotomayor, Kagan, Barrett, and Jackson. All the liberal justices. And, you know, Amy Coney Barrett. Because sometimes she just has to stick it to Trump because he's weird. And then in dissent, of course, fucking Clarence Thomas. Why does Clarence have such a punchable face? I'm sorry. Like, Kavanaugh looks like a frat boy, and I would gladly punch his face. Alito looks like a used car salesman. Thomas looks like the fuck you, I got mine Uncle Ruckus. Fez says those close-up cuts being live is wild. Oh, really? Yeah, it's been a thing I've done for years. I mean, I don't see what's weird about it. Or wild. It's just buttons. I press buttons. Fez says, I'm not used to it. I guess you're probably used to, like, the standard streamer thing where I kind of stay in this form the entire time, and every single cut and zoom in and everything is all done in post. Boy howdy, when I tell you I'm a lazy motherfucker and I am not going to do shit in post, and I'm a poor motherfucker, so I can't afford paying K-Fox to do that shit in post. Fez says, nah, I love it. Sisik says, Uncle Ruckus sided with the white boys. I'm shocked. Carrot Cake says, yeah, that's cool. How do you even do that? I mean, if you know how OBS works, I have, like, 10 different scenes that effectively operate as camera angles. And I have buttons that effectively operate as changing to different cameras. It's identical to having 5 cameras trained on you and then having all of their sources trained onto different buttons and then turning the cameras off and on as you need. It is identical, actually, to me doing this. If I want to show you my 3D printer, I can press this button, and there's my 3D printer with a bottle of Tabasco there because I am a classy bitch. It's the exact same technique. Everything's hotkeyed. I have, see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. I have 32 in-use hotkeys. 32 that I know how to operate without looking, because this has been my job for a while. PLA tastes better than Tabasco. Tabasco tastes better than PLA. I can tell you I've chewed on both. Marco says, I can't fit a Stream Deck on my desk. That is a fair problem to have. That is a fair problem to have. Anyway, it's really funny to me watching Matt Walsh freak the fuck out about birthright citizenship, something that has been the norm in our country for years, since before he was born, since before I was born. But no, it's uniquely evil now, I guess. What an idiot. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagittarius, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.